وهو الذي جعل لكم الليل لباسا والنوم سباتا وجعل النهار نشورا.
It is Allah who has made night a garment for you, and sleep the repose of death, and has made day the time of rising to life.
60. The night is a garment in the sense that it covers and hides things. 61. This verse has three objects. 1. It provides a proof of Tawheed. 2. It furnishes a proof of the possibility of life after death from everyday human experience. 3. It bears the good news that the night of ignorance has come to an end and now the bright day of knowledge and guidance has dawned. It is therefore inevitable that those who were sleeping in ignorance will sooner or later wake up, but those who have slept the sleep of death will not wake up and will themselves be deprived of life, while the business of the day will go on thriving even without them.
وهو الذي أرسل الرياح بشرا بين يدي رحمته وأنزلنا من السماء ماء طهورا.
And He it is who sends forth the winds as glad tidings, heralding His mercy. Then we send down pure water from the sky.
62. That is, such water as is pure and free from all sorts of impurities, germs and poison, which cleanses and washes away filth and becomes a source of life for men, beasts as well as all kinds of plant life.
لنحيي به بلدة ميتا ونسقيه مما خلقنا أنعاما وأناسيا كثيرا.
That we may revive through it a dead land, and give it for drink to many cattle and human beings from among our creation.
63. This verse also gives proofs of the doctrine of Tawheed and the hereafter. Besides, it contains a subtle suggestion that the period of the drought of ignorance has been replaced through Allah's mercy by the blessed rain of prophethood, which is showering the life-giving knowledge of revelation from which many servants of Allah will certainly benefit, if not all.
وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَاهُ بَيْنَهُمْ لِيَذَّكَّرُوا فَأَبَى أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ إِلَّا كُفُورًا.
We present this wondrous phenomenon to them over and over again, that they may learn a lesson from it. But most people simply decline everything except disbelief and ingratitude.
64. We have repeated it among them, may have three meanings. 1. We have cited the phenomenon of rainfall over and over again in the Quran in order to make plain to them the reality. 2. We are time and again showing them the wonderful phenomenon of the heat and drought, seasonal winds and clouds, rainfall and its life-producing effects. 3. We go on changing the system of the distribution of rainfall throughout the world year after year, so that the same place does not receive the same amount of rainfall every time. Sometimes a place is left completely dry, another has more or less of rainfall than usual, while some other is flooded with rainwater. They see all these different phenomena with their countless different results in their daily life. 65. The verse means to impress that the wonderful system of rainfall is by itself a proof of the existence of Allah, of one Lord of the universe, and of His attributes. Its wonderful distribution during the year and over different parts of the earth is a clear proof that there is an all-wise designer. But the obdurate disbelievers do not learn any lesson from it, and persist in their ingratitude, though this has been cited in the Quran repeatedly for this purpose. It is also a proof of the life after death, for the disbelievers themselves see that rainfall brings to life dead land year after year. This clearly shows that Allah has the power to bring the dead back to life, but the disbelievers do not learn any lesson from it and persist in their irresponsible ways. If verse 48 is taken in the metaphorical sense, the pure water of rain will mean the blessings of prophethood. Human history shows that whenever this blessing has been sent down, ignorance has been replaced by knowledge, injustice by justice and wickedness by righteousness. The coming of prophets has always proved to be the harbinger of a moral revolution. But only those who accepted their guidance benefited from it. This is the lesson of history, yet the disbelievers reject it because of their ingratitude.
ولو شئنا لبعثنا في كل قرية نذيرا.
Had we so willed, we would have raised up in every town a warner.
66. That is, if we had willed, we could have sent a separate prophet to every habitation, but we did not do so, because like the sun, our last prophet suffices to enlighten the entire world.
Had we so willed, we would have raised up in every town a warner. It was not beyond God's power to do so. Had He so willed, He would have raised a prophet in every nook and corner of the world. But He did not do so, and instead raised a prophet for the whole world. Just like one sun is enough for the whole earth, this one sun of guidance was deemed sufficient for the whole of humanity.
فلا تطع الكافرين وجاهدهم به جهادا كبيرا.
So, O Prophet, do not follow the unbelievers, but engage in a mighty striving against them with this Quran.
67. The Arabic words jihad kabir imply three meanings. 1. To exert utmost for the cause of Islam. 2. To dedicate all the resources to this cause. 3. To fight against the enemies of Islam on all possible fronts with all the resources in order to raise high the word of Allah. This will include jihad with the tongue, the pen, wealth, life and every other available weapon.
وهو الذي مرج البحرين هذا عذب فرات وهذا ملح أجاج وجعل بينهما برزخا وحجرا محجورا.
And He it is who has joined the two seas, one sweet and palatable, and the other saltish and bitter. And He has set a barrier and an insurmountable obstruction between the two that keeps them apart.
68. This phenomenon has been perceived in many places in the sea and on the land, that sweet water and bitter water has existed side by side. Turkish Admiral Saidi Ali Ray, in his book Mirat al-Mamalik, written in the 16th century, has mentioned a place in the Persian Gulf, where springs of sweet water exist under the bitter waters of the sea, where he could get drinking water for his fleet. The American Oil Company at first obtained water from the same springs in the Persian Gulf, before they dug up wells near Tehran for the supply of the drinking water. Near Bahrain also there exist springs of sweet water at the seabed from which people have been taking water until quite recently. Besides this apparent meaning, which gives a rational proof of Allah's being the one and the only Lord of the universe, the verse contains a subtle suggestion as well. When Allah wills, He can raise up a righteous community from among a large wicked society, just as He can cause springs of palatable and sweet water to gush out from under the salty waters of the sea.
And an insurmountable obstruction between under the sea, from which people have drawn sweet water for ages.
وهو الذي خلق من الماء بشرا فجعله نسبا وصهرا وكان ربك قديرا.
And He it is who has created man from water, and then produced from him two sorts of kindred, by descent and by marriage. Your Lord is all-powerful. 69. Here the miracle of the birth of man from a mere sperm drop and the procreation of his offspring from man and woman have been cited as a proof of Tawheed. Though both man and woman belong to the same genus, they are two species, having important common human characteristics but different physical structures and psychological traits. It is a proof of Tawheed that the all-powerful Allah has used this difference for making the two as complements and not antagonists. It is also the design of the all-powerful Creator that He is creating sons and daughters in the world in due proportion. Then the sons marry and create blood relationships, and the daughters are married and become means of forming new relationships. This process goes on widening to produce families, tribes and nations belonging to the same race and bound by the same civilization. The verse has also a subtle suggestion: the entire life is being run on the principle of difference. For example, the difference between the night and the day, the summer and the winter, etc. Therefore, O Muslims, you should patiently endure the differences you are having with your opponents, for these are certain to produce good results.
ويعبدون من دون الله ما لا ينفعهم ولا يضرهم وكان الكافر على ربه ظهيرا.
And yet people worship deities other than Allah that can neither benefit them nor hurt them. Besides, the unbeliever is ever prone to come to the support of everyone who rebels against his Lord.
70. This is a characteristic of the typical disbeliever. He is a helper and defender of all those who are rebels against Allah and an enemy of all those who may he striving to raise Allah's word and enforce his law in the world. He is associated directly or indirectly with all the works of Allah's disobedience and opposes and resists in one way or the other every effort that is made to bring people to the path of Allah's obedience and service.
وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا مُبَشِّرًا وَنَذِيرًا.
We have not sent you, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, except as a bearer of good tidings and a warner.
71. This, verse 56, was meant to comfort the Prophet, peace be upon him, and to warn the disbelievers who opposed him and obstructed his work, as if to say, your duty is only to convey the message of good news to the people and to warn them of the consequences of disbelief. You are not responsible as to whether they accept your message or reject it, or to reward the believers and punish the disbelievers. Such words occur in the Quran at other places also and are obviously directed to the disbelievers, as if to say, the message of the Prophet is meant to reform the people without any tinge of selfishness. As he does not force the people to accept his message, there is no reason why you should feel offended. If you accept the message, it will be for your own good, and if you reject it, you will be harming yourselves alone. For after conveying the message, he is relieved of his duty and responsibility, then the matter will be between you and us. Although this is a very simple and clear interpretation of verse 56, and of similar other verses, yet some people erroneously conclude from it that the only duty and responsibility of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is to convey the message and nothing else. They forget that the Quran has stressed over and over again that the Prophet, peace be upon him, is not only a giver of good news to the believers but he is also their teacher, their lawgiver, judge and guide, a purifier of their morals and a model of life for them, and that every word which he utters is law which they have to obey and follow willingly in all walks of life and for all times to come. 71a. For explanation, see, En. 70 of Surah Al-Mu'minun.
قُلْ مَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ إِلَّا مَنْ شَاءَ أَنْ يَتَّخِذَ إِلَى رَبِّهِ سَبِيلًا.
Say to them, I ask of you no reward for my work. My only reward is that whoever so wills may follow the way leading to his Lord.
وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى الْحَيِّ الَّذِي لَا يَمُوتُ وَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِهِ وَكَفَى بِهِ بِذُنُوبِ عِبَادِهِ خَبِيرًا.
O Muhammad, peace be upon him, put your trust in him who is ever living, who will never die, and glorify him with his praise. He suffices as the knower of the sins of his servants.
الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وما بينهما في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش الرحمن فاسأل به خبيرا.
He who created the heavens and the earth and all that is in between them in 6 days, and then ascended the throne, the merciful one. Ask concerning him, the one who knows.
72. For explanation of throne, see, ENs 41, 42 of Surah Al-Araf, EN 4 of Surah Yunus, and EN 7 Surah of Hud. It is difficult to say what exactly is meant by 6 days. Here a day may mean a period of time or an ordinary day of this world. For explanation of the day, see, ENs 11 to 15 of Surah Hamim Sajda.
وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ اسْجُدُوا لِلرَّحْمَنِ قَالُوا وَمَا الرَّحْمَنُ أَنَسْجُدُ لِمَا تَأْمُرُنَا وَزَادَهُمْ نُفُورًا.
When they are told, "Prostrate yourselves before the Merciful One," they say, "What is the Merciful One? Shall we prostrate ourselves before whomsoever you command us to prostrate?" This even further increases their aversion.
73. This they said due to their arrogance and stubbornness, just as Pharaoh had said to Prophet Moses, "What is the Lord of the universe?" For the disbelievers of Makkah were not unaware of the merciful, Rahman, nor was Pharaoh unaware of the Lord of the universe. The wording of the verse itself shows that their question about the merciful was not the result of their ignorance of him but was due to their rebelliousness. Otherwise Allah would not have punished them for this but would have informed them politely that He Himself is merciful. Besides this, it is well known historically that the word Rahman, merciful, for Allah had been in common usage in Arabia since the ancient times. Please see also, En. 5 of Surah As-Sajda, and En. 35 of Surah Sabah. 74. All scholars agree that here a prostration of recital, Sajda Tilawat, has been enjoined, which means that every reader and every hearer must prostrate himself on reciting or hearing the recital of this verse. According to traditions, the one who hears this verse being recited should say, Zadan Allahu Khudwan, Enama, Zada Lila Dai Nufura. May Allah increase us in humility, even as the enemies are increased in their hatred.
تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها سراجا وقمرا منيرا.
Most blessed is he who set a constellation in the heavens, and placed in it a great lamp and a shining moon.
75. See, ENs 8-12 of Surah Al-Hijr. 76. That is, the sun, as mentioned clearly in Surah Nu, Ayat 16, and made the sun a lamp.
وهو الذي جعل الليل والنهار خلفة لمن أراد أن يذكر أو أراد شكورا.
He it is who has appointed night and day to succeed one another as a sign for him who desires to take heed or desires to be thankful.
77. The observation and deep consideration of the wonderful phenomenon of the alternation of the day and night is a proof of Tawheed and His providence, so that man may feel grateful to Him and prostrate himself before Him in all humility.
وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما.
The true servants of the Merciful One are those who walk on the earth gently, and when the foolish ones address them, they simply say, "Peace to you."
78. That is, though all human beings are by birth the servants of the Merciful before whom you have been invited to prostrate yourselves, and which you disdain, His true servants are those who adopt the way of His obedience consciously and develop such desirable characteristics. Then the natural consequences of the prostration are those found in the lives of the believers, and the evil results of rejecting the invitation, those found in your lives. Here attention is being drawn to the two patterns of character and life. First, of those who had accepted the message of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and were following it, and the second of those who persisted in the ways of ignorance. Here only the prominent characteristics of the true believers have been cited, and for contrast, the characteristics of the disbelievers have been left to every discerning eye and mind which could see them all around in the society and make its own decision. 79. That is, they do not walk haughtily and arrogantly like the tyrants and mischief makers, but their gait is of a gentle, right-thinking and good-natured person. Walking humbly does not mean walking like a weak or sick person, nor does it imply the gait of a hypocrite who walks ostentatiously to show humility or fear of God. According to traditions, the Prophet, peace be upon him, himself used to walk with firm, quick steps. One day Caliph Umar saw a young man walking slowly like a weak, sick person, and asked him, "Are you ill?" When the man replied in the negative, the Caliph raised his whip, rebuked him and told him to walk like a healthy man. This shows that the humble gait is the natural gait of a noble and gentle person and not a gait which shows weakness and undue humility. In this connection, the first characteristic of the true servants of Allah to which attention has been drawn, is their gait. This is because the gait indicates the character of an individual. If a man walks in a humble and dignified way, as opposed to a haughty, vain and proud manner, it shows that he is a noble and gentle person. Thus the different gaits of different types of people show what sort of characters they possess. The verse means to imply that the true servants of the Merciful can be easily recognized by their gait among the people. Their attitude of Allah's worship and obedience has changed them so thoroughly that it can be seen at first sight from their gait that they are noble, humble and good-natured people, who cannot be expected to indulge in any mischief. For further explanation, see En 43 of Surah Bani Israel, and En 33 of Surah Luqman. 80. The ignorant people, rude and insolent people and not uneducated and illiterate ones. The true servants of the Merciful do not believe in vengeance, even though they may have to deal with the ignorant people who behave rudely and insolently towards them. If they happen to come across such people, they wish them peace and turn away. The same thing has been expressed in Surah Al-Qasas, Ayat 55, thus, and when they hear something vain and absurd they turn away from it, saying, our deeds are for us and your deeds are for you, peace be to you, we have nothing to do with the ignorant. For details see En 72-78 of Surah Al-Qasas.